is going on, everybody? Nasdorachi coming back at you again today with another video for Dragon Ball Legends, and I did want to briefly go over the video and stuff podcast that dropped yesterday, along with the previews for the future Trunks and the Imperfect Cell, which also dropped last night. We will have data mines most likely tonight with the full character kits and details. Of course, I will be back making another video to cover the characters in depth. Now, I do not know if I will be summoning really at all for these two units. It really depends on what their Z ability buffs look like and what their kits eventually play out as. I mean, Trunks on paper looks good as an anti-regeneration unit, but there's some heavy color conflicts between what they picked and what's currently existing for, relevant teams in the meta. So there could be some problems, but we'll get to that when we cover the characters. I did want to bring up the internet here, and we honestly might as well start with the characters and finish up with the video and stuff podcast review. But looking at Twitter here, the first and most important thing to mention that we got out of last night, and it's in the in-game news, is the next hyperdimensional co-op coming after Reset is going to be against Demon King Piccolo, and by doing it, you can get these tickets to make free summons for the Z power, the Zenkai Awakening power, for the Legends Road Kid Goku. So, in theory, as of right now, it still might play out that is 100% free, and we will be able to get him to Zenkai 7 without having to spend any real money. I hope that is how they set this up. That would be very good for the game, for their intentions, their motivations, for the community. It would be really nice if they did include something very powerful like this for free. So that is a very good piece of news right there. Unfortunately, you'll have to farm co-op only to get them. It'd be really nice if they were a drop reward for doing like PvP as well, to make multiple ways of playing the game to get these tickets. But it's still way better than nothing, or even it's infinitely better than a paid version of the banner only. So that's that right there. Next up, we can jump in and look at the previews quickly for the two new units, kind of give some initial thoughts for them, kind of think about, how they're going to stack up in the meta, and then we can again move on to the podcast. So, starting with Imperfect Cell here, it says, First Form Cell incoming. His sinister green card, Life Force Absorption, reduces ki recovery and ki on hit, and restores his health and ki. Add a unique passive that buffs him whenever the enemy switches, and the Looming Menace is ready to terrorize the battlefield. We do also know that he is green in color. That released in the in-game news. It seems like he's got a very nice comboable green card that'll be functional, and he seems like he could potentially be a really good fit for his, health restoration, his synergy with Baby, stuff like that. But the fact that he's green, again, sets him up to have heavy conflict with both Buhan and the Zenkai Fat Buu. So on regeneration, his kit's going to have to be extremely relevant to keep up with characters that we already have that are very good for that team. That is quite unfortunate. On Future, he also would conflict with the LF Vegeta, who pairs extremely well with Rosé for some Future and God Key style of buffs going on. So even for Future, he's not really placed that well. However, on androids, he could be a viable option instead of Super 17 or Android 14. It's just the androids team has fallen a little bit behind to the point now where I'm not sure that just one green Ultra Space Time unit is going to bring them back and make a comeback to bring them back to top tier status. So the Imperfect Cell here, his color placement is really the most unfortunate thing about him, and I don't know how well that's going to play over. Maybe they did that on purpose because they didn't want to stack up regen that much more, which makes a little bit of sense, but again, we'll have to see what his Z ability and how his tags play out. Bring this up full screen here. Of course, he starts off with the green card there, which does look, again, pretty nice. I like the little glowing gold aura he has around him. It seems like it combos fully as he leads right out of it with a red card into a blue card Kamehameha. Fairly standard, but they did put some love into that end screen and the green card animation right there. So, I don't know. This character was never one of the most popular, and not every Ultra Space Time banner can be amazing like Gohan and Bojack. So, it stands to make sense as to this character being more of a side grade or an optional unit not something that you're going to need to make or break any teams or metas. That, honestly, that all makes sense there. Moving on to the Trunks here. This is going to be another somewhat unfortunate placement, but he seems a little better on paper. So Super Saiyan Trunks Teen incoming, boosted strike damage against tag regen, which is amazing. He's also not the only Trunks to feature that. The purple long-haired Trunks in the Saiyan armor also has an anti-regeneration passive. So, seeing this again with Trunks seems to be kind of a running theme for Trunks here. His ultimate arts, Heat Dome attack, deals massive damage and nullifies unfavorable element factors 1 activation. He also reduces all enemies' health restoration when he enters the battlefield. So again, this is set up to be a perfect hard counter unit to regeneration-based teams. But unfortunately, we know that he is red in color, which comes with a laundry list of problems as well. Be it that on Vegeta family, he would directly conflict with the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and the older red Vegeta Super Saiyan as well, but this Trunks will likely be better than that older red Vegeta. But Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is a heavy conflict. On the future tag, he conflicts very heavily with Rose, who is an amazing unit, likely going to be a little bit better because he combos in conjunction with that LF Vegeta so very well. But still might be a red option for future. It's just unfortunate that he does conflict so heavily with Rose. Now on hybrids, he has a little bit better of a placement. His really only conflict on hybrids, of course, is going to be the LF Gohan, who has aged a little bit, still a really good unit, but this Trunks will fill a perfectly acceptable role on hybrids that LF Gohan won't fill. Remember that LF Gohan is an anchor unit, last man standing blast type character. This Trunks is going to be effective throughout the entire battle, and he's going to be great versus anti-regen and a strike damage unit. So there are all those things that make him a great placement on hybrids. But similarly to androids, hybrids has fallen behind such to the point where I'm not sure that just this one unit is going to fully bring them back. Now, it will help when you combine him with the Zenkai purple Teen Gohan because he has anti-regeneration stuff going on as well. So that is probably making this Trunks here the more valuable of the two units on the banner in terms of the sparkings because he will just have better placements and he'll be more useful on the hybrid team. Unfortunately for Future and Vegeta family, he may not fit quite as well. But we'll have to check out and see what his Z abilities are also. Now we can bring up this preview here. You can see he leads with a green card. That is like a pushback invisible key wave, kind of like the Super Baby 2 green card. It is fully comboable, so that's good news. He has a straightforward blue blast attack on his blue card there. And then, leading into the ultimate arts, the Heat Dome attack. All very clean, good-looking animations. But it's just, again, it's unfortunate that he's red. I really wish that he had come out like blue or yellow. But it still leaves hope and promise that we will get the, like maybe like a Legends Limited Spirit Sword Trunks for future tag that will be blue. It leaves that as a possibility. Or maybe Fusion Zamasu or something. So hopefully, future tag does get updated with a blue unit here soon. They desperately needed it, and it seems like neither of these two units will be providing it. Now again, we will be coming out with more specific details on these characters as soon as Renzi does the data mines. But again, we did get this in-game, so we know, again, Trunks is red, Cell is green, a little bit unfortunate. The perfect form Cell here is very interesting as well. He's coming out purple, which sets him up to be a direct conflict with both Majin 21 on androids and regeneration teams, which is a huge problem. It makes him pretty much irrelevant for those teams coming straight out the gate. However, if he is like a double color buffer like EX Broly or like the EX Android 14, then he might actually not be completely unusable. That's really the only situation I see where he comes out and is actually somewhat viable. Outside of that, again, remember, Majin 21, one of the best characters in the game. It's going to be very hard to top that. So jumping into the last piece of information we have for today, the Dragon Ball Legends video and stuff did come out yesterday as well. They spent a good bit of time talking about co-op and then some of the Ultimate Battle stuff, and that's pretty much it. Rhyme Style is in here suggesting a couple of good ideas for co-op, being making the Zenkai souls easier to obtain, more rewards for doing co-op. But Toshi seems to think that co-op is not something that players should be spending an extreme amount of time on. That's something that I actually tend to agree with him on, that they don't really want you grinding out co-op unnecessarily, and that Zenkais are time-gated behind the fact that it takes a long time to get all their souls to actually fully boost them up. So with that being said, that does kind of make sense. They did as well talk about how it's kind of obnoxious when two players Rising Rush at the same time, how one of the Rising Rushes will get negated. Toshi then mentions that there might be a way to correct that in the future so that the players doesn't get negated, they get it back, or that both Rising Rushes might combine into like an Ultra Super Rising Rush. So that would be something neat to see right there. For me, the co-op is relatively fun to play, at least at first, but when it gets to the point where you're farming that same exact boss upwards of 25 plus to 100 times, that's where it starts to get really stale. I think it'll be kind of cool if they implemented a system where bosses could rotate and things could just be mixed up somehow, like a little bit more frequently. I don't know. It's just the beginning of the system. I'm sure plenty of developments are going to be had to kind of flesh it out and change things up over time. This game doesn't seem to be operating on any type of super fast-paced release schedule. They want to just kind of stretch things out and increase the lifespan of the game, so they're kind of taking their time, which, you know, is understandable. I don't want them to rush a lot of stuff. I'd rather them take the time to get it right, because a lot of the times when they update this game, they make, you know, some steps backwards for every step they make forward. That is a recurring theme with this game, and the longer they take, honestly, you know, to think things out and to develop them well, hopefully we can see improvements on that front as well. So after the co-op portion of the discussion in the video and stuff, they do go into the ultimate battle mode. They clarify things that we have heard before, how they want this to be a test platform for PvP where they can test out new and quirky things and mix the game up without, you know, destroying the gameplay that they've created and sold to people that have spent a lot of money on banners and stuff like that. So that basically both things can coexist, where there'll be the traditional gameplay and then ultimate battle mode where they can really mix things up. He specifically mentioned in this video, talking about a limited Rising Rush, which would be like either one Rising Rush per battle or no Rising Rushes potentially even. Now, this is something we've also mentioned before. I've specifically mentioned this as an option for future Ultimate Battles, so I kind of did know something like this was coming. At the same time, it does bring up a list of issues like dealing with teams like Regeneration that can heal like crazy and that are kind of meant to have Rising Rush as an option against them. Otherwise, it'll be very oppressive dealing with teams like that. So they are going to try and address and think of ways to balance stuff like that. Ultimately, we'll have to see what they come up with and yeah, what their ideas are. I'm sure moving into the future, there's going to be a lot of other cool ideas for this game mode. He specifically mentioned one where you would try and pick your enemy's teams and they would pick your team. So basically you choose your team for your opponent and they choose for you. And it didn't seem like that idea got very much traction when he suggested it, but I'm still sure we're going to see some pretty creative and quirky ideas for them to implement in the Ultimate Battle mode to keep things fresh and exciting. Outside of that, they did mention that they'll be talking a lot about potential Zenkai reworks and the guild system reworks in the next video, and we didn't get too much else besides that. Like, you can tell that they are trying to edit this conversation and keep it relatively clean. Toshi brings up a point where they can't have too much communication with us because then expectations become unrealistic from them, but they also do want to have more communication than what they've characteristically had in the past. So these are all still steps in the good direction. They have also mentioned about trying to get other creators into these interview videos or these podcasts. So maybe one day I can end up in a situation like this talking about the state of the game and stuff like that. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see for the future. I just wanted to cover this video and stuff podcast because they did put out some important information, but I didn't want to just let it play out in full screen with audio because I don't think I'm whitelisted by Bandai yet, and they like to copyright claim stuff like that. I don't think we really missed out on too much else that they recommended in the video here. So yeah, they pretty much just covered co-op and the ultimate battle mode here. Still some quality information to have, but I am expecting more important information coming for the next video and stuff podcast, again for the guild system and the Zenkai system. However, I do have faith that the developers are trying to make this an enjoyable experience. Now, they do also have the corporate overlords, which must be appeased with the dollar, and that is understandable, but I think Toshi catches a lot of undeserved flack just because he's the public face of Legends right now. I think he tries to do a lot of good things, and some of them go over decently well, and some of them get bastardized again by potentially some greed higher up the chain of command. So I don't really fault him at all. I think that the game is generally trying to succeed. Hopefully they can swing it in that positive upward direction. I know a lot of people are still going to be unsatisfied no matter what, and there still are some problems in the game that need to be addressed, but at least they're trying, and at least they're trying to communicate. Those are both good signs, and I'm gonna keep my faith in with the developers and hope that they keep this train rolling without derailing off the tracks. That is about all we have to talk about for today's video. Again, as soon as the data mines drop for these two characters, I'll come back and do kind of an in-depth review of them, but we should be able to get through it quicker because we've covered some of this information now with this video. I do expect that information to start coming out anytime between like 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. my time, which is, it's 6:30 right now as me recording this. So with that being said, I'm gonna get to editing this so I can get it up and you guys can check it out hopefully, and then we'll be back again very soon to check out those characters and keep up with any other news from the update. So we'll be seeing you very soon. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a thumbs up on it, help spread it out on YouTube. I appreciate each and every one of you that is here watching the videos, supporting them and commenting on them. If you're new around here, consider subscribing so I can see you again on future videos. Again, we'll be back very soon to talk about the new characters. And as always, comment your thoughts down below. What are your thoughts on these two characters, their colors, even the EX unit as a third character? Let me know your thoughts on them. And what are your thoughts on the Video and Stuff podcast with the co-op and the Ultimate Battle discussion? What do you think they'll talk about when it comes to Zenkai and guild updates? I want to know everything that's on your mind, so leave that down below, and I'll see you again real soon. Peace out, everybody.